evening and welcome to Up South, the show that gets you all the top news stories from South India every evening with me, T.S. Sudhir. Next week, two big elections are going to take place that will impact the southern part of India. First, the Sri Lanka Parliamentary elections on the 17th of August, and then Bengaluru will vote for its civic body on the 22nd of August. That remains our top focus on Up South this Thursday evening. On the 17th of August, that's Monday, Sri Lanka will vote in the parliamentary elections. This will be, in a sense, part two of the duel between President Maithripala Sirisena and former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who lost to Sirisena in the January presidential election. And this time, Rajapaksa is contesting as an MP. And if a majority of the MPs back Rajapaksa, he could well make a political comeback as the next Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. And that will make the equation between him and Maithripala Sirisena extremely tricky. And even though Sirisena heads the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, most of the party backs Rajapaksa, and we thought Indian politics was complicated. Joining me on Up South are two gentlemen who understand Sri Lanka better than anyone else. R.K. Radhakrishnan, senior journalist from the Frontline magazine, also retired Colonel R. Hariharan, security expert. He's associated with the South Asia Analysis Group and the Chennai Center for China Studies. Mr. Radhakrishnan, to you first. The test series between India and Sri Lanka is going on at the moment in Sri Lanka, with India doing pretty well. But would you say that after the first innings in January, the August election could well be like the second innings as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, and the match between Rajapaksa and Sirisena in many senses is not over yet?
It is very apparent that Sirisena has control over the parliament right now because he is the executive president. So even if the second innings results in a victory for Mahinda Rajapaksa, it's still that Sirisena will still have the upper hand. But the game is not over yet. Just because Sirisena has the upper hand, it doesn't mean that he has won it. Lot depends on August 17 and counting, which starts immediately after 5 p.m. and we will have to really wait to see if Mahinda gets the numbers, which I suspect he will.
Okay, so you're saying that Mahinda Rajapaksa could get the numbers. Mr. Hariharan, to you first. Now, China is looking at this election just like India is, with a lot of interest. In fact, many people have also described this as an India versus China electoral battle in the island nation of Sri Lanka. Now, since January, when Sirisena took over, despite polite noises, China knows that it has, in a sense, lost out in comparison with how it was placed during the Rajapaksa regime. So would you say that China would definitely root for Mahinda Rajapaksa to make a comeback as Prime Minister?
Generally, China does not interfere directly in internal politics or elections. But you are right, China has a lot of stake. It is more than $4.6 billion has been invested. All the projects are hanging fire, though one or two of them have been cleared by the new government. Particularly the Colombo reclamation project, where China was to get around 360 acres total ownership without any interference of the reclaimed land on the near the Colombo, mouth of the Colombo harbor. That has had a major setback. They have already spent some money, $1.4 billion investment. So China would be definitely looking at it.
Right. In case Rajapaksa makes a comeback, Mr. Hariharan, would you say what kind of an impact it would have on Indo-Sri Lanka relations if Rajapaksa becomes the next Sri Lankan Prime Minister?
It is a very interesting question because Rajapaksa has changed his style based on the learning. The UPFA manifesto, Rajapaksa is contesting as UPFA candidate. Its manifesto specifically mentions India's importance. And Dr. Dayan Jayathaleka, who is the foreign policy advisor of UPFA, he has written about it also, how India will occupy an important place. So Rajapaksa will not be able to do the same thing as he did, because as Prime Minister he is accountable to Parliament. even if he becomes a prime minister. That itself is a question mark. So, he won't have a free run. And as far as India is concerned, India is actually sitting pretty, because the Colombo reclamation project has been held up due to India's request, and it is being pruned down. So Mr. Modi's visit has done a lot of good.
Right. Mr. Radhakrishnan, Colonel Hariharan believes that it's a big if whether Rajapaksa actually makes a comeback as Sri Lanka's next Prime Minister. But in the event of a President Sirisena and a Prime Minister Rajapaksa, do you think Sri Lanka is in for a period of political turmoil, some kind of a rift or an equation of, trying to regain power between the President and the Prime Minister?
Sri Lanka is already has entered a completely uncertain and uncharted territory. You have a prime minister who doesn't trust the president. You have a president who is very well-meaning, but at the same time is not able to carry the people along with him. We already are in a certain complete state of uncertainty, and there is of course the China factor, there is an India factor, there is a US factor. It's a completely messy situation in Sri Lanka today. There is a lot of problems already. You will add to that when you have Mahinda winning and becoming a prime minister.
Right. Colonel Hariharan, if Rajapaksa does not make it, as you seem to suggest that he may not, but if he does not make it, will it mean the end of his political career in Sri Lanka?
No. If you see Rajapaksa's political career, which all of us know, he is a very hard-boiled politician, so he will not give up easily, because you have to recognize he has a following within and outside the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, his party, and particularly in the south. But what is damaging is going to be the cases of corruption, misuse of power. Now a murder case has come up, and there are 2 cases have come up of misappropriating the Provident Fund scheme money. These are all running into billions of rupees. And the Tajuddin murder case, how it was hushed up during this regime, there is a lot of muck flying about it. Nobody knows really whether his son Namal Rajapaksa was involved in it or not. So this would, I don't think he would give up easily, though he would lose much of his reputation.
Right. Mr. Radhakrishnan, a lot of people in Tamil Nadu are going to be looking at this election in Sri Lanka with a lot of interest. After Rajapaksa's exit in January, who was seen as some kind of a villain by the political party, many of the political parties in Tamil Nadu, things have kind of slowed down in Tamil Nadu as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. So how do you think Tamil Nadu is likely to react in case Rajapaksa makes a comeback and this entire election process?
The moment Mahinda lost the presidential polls on January 8th, I think the political parties in Tamil Nadu generally, thought the show was over and left the theatre. But unfortunately, the show is still on, and it's still on till August 17, and we will know only when the votes are counted. And Mahinda camp is very certain that they are going to make a strong comeback, and they will be in the forefront. Yeah. In that case, of course, Tamil Nadu will have a lot of interest, because they look at Mahinda as the man who is responsible for the murder of 40,000 Tamils. As the UN report says, 40,000 Tamils were killed in the last stages of the war. So Tamil Nadu will suddenly start again getting very interested in Sri Lanka, and again we will see the same protests that we saw in 2009 and 2010 and 12 in Tamil Nadu.
Right, definitely a very interesting election there in Sri Lanka on the 17th of August. Mr. Radhakrishnan, Colonel Hariharan, thanks a lot for joining us with that perspective on Up South. It's an election which is going to have huge implications for China, for India, and of course the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, news from Bengaluru. We'll be focusing on the battle for Bengaluru on the 22nd of August. That's the other big election that is going to take place that will impact southern India. Over 70 lakh voters will vote in the civic polls on the 22nd of August to vote for about 198 new corporators to the BBMP, and that is something which the IT City of India is really looking forward to, because there have been many civic issues that have grappled the city and of course hit the headlines for all the wrong reasons in the past many months and years. There you can see shots of the lakes which have been polluted, foaming over. There is a traffic crisis and of course a garbage crisis in the city of Bengaluru. But in a refreshing change, the parties have also been fielding young and fresh faces, making the electoral contest more vibrant. In fact, one of them is JM Savita, who is a former constable of the Bengaluru police, and now she is contesting on a BJP ticket. And against her is a management graduate who is contesting on a Congress ticket. So a lot of new faces, and that will something which will definitely excite the people of Bengaluru as they go to vote on the 22nd of August.
ಡ್ಯೂಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಒಂದು ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ. ಹೈಯರ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಜನಗಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಸುಖ ಏನಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಡಿಜಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಐಜಿಪಿ ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ PRO ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಅನುಭವ ನನಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಜನರ ಕಷ್ಟ ಸುಖ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿನೂ ನಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ಬಿಜೆಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ 30 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತನಾಗಿ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕಳೆದ ಬಾರಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಪ BBMP ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪರ್ಧಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಕೇವಲ 88 ವೋಟಿಂದ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸೋತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೂ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕೋ ಸಹಾಯ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಜನರು ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಈ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದ ಶ್ರೀನಗರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿನ ಏನ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಸುಖಗಳೇನಿದೆ.
Always brought up in that kind of an environment wherein I want to help people. I want to take an initiative. I want to be a leading example, a live example, wherein you always say our youngsters is the future of our generation, future of our country. But who is setting an example? People like me should come up, and of course a political party like Congress has given me an opportunity.
But if I can ask you, you've been going door to door campaigning. What are the kind of concerns that people have brought to you?
Yes, a lot of concern. In fact, some people are so hesitant to open the door because of the previous corporator. They've not done any work. They're telling me like there's a drainage problem, there's water problem, it's not clean. So I have been giving that lot of concerns. I'm hearing all the concerns where they don't know who's the corporator. They said, I don't know, I don't want to vote. Because you don't come for 5 years, you just turn up one day and say, please vote for me. That is not going to happen, right? So I have been connecting to people, I'm telling them, please vote for the right candidate. I am not coming here for money. I don't want to bribe people and give money.
I just want Bangalore to be the way it was, maybe 60, 70 years ago. That's all. It was a beautiful Bangalore then.
If it costs too much money, they will not. Actually, we individuals should only take this.
I don't think so. If just before the elections, they might do a beautification or something, but on the long run, I don't think it would make much of a difference. The BBMP, I don't think they are much serious about the job on hand. Is there?
Right. Joining me now from Bengaluru is my colleague Rohini Swami. Rohini, news now that the BPAC, the Bengaluru Political Action Committee, is also planning to contest the elections. Now that makes it extremely interesting, because we remember in 2013 they had actually funded some of the clean candidates in the assembly elections. Now how is that likely to alter the dynamics in the election on the 22nd of August?
Well, they're looking at a change in Bangalore. They're trying to make a change, not just in terms of people who are administering or part of the administration, but also at the ground level. The BPAC also is like-minded people, which also includes people like Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw and Mohandas Pai and Narayan Murthy, who have also have people who they've fielded candidates, especially in this election, the BBMP elections, for the fact they're saying that they have understood, they have worked for 2 to 3 years on the field, they've understood what the concerns of people in Bangalore are, and with their manifesto, they would like to fight for elections. They are the voice of the people, they say, in terms of what they can take forward to and also deliver the goods, as they say. But there are other people in terms of the BJP candidates, the Congress candidates, the Lok Satta Party candidates. They are also saying that they have understood, and a lot of new faces, a lot of young faces, and a lot of women candidates are being brought into the fray. So the whole idea is this time BBMP elections or the local civic body elections is very, very interesting. It is not just about the dynamics of the youngsters getting in. It's also people who they have decided that only people who want to make that change to Bangalore, bring a change and bring brand Bangalore back on its feet are the people who will actually fight this election.
Absolutely. The 70 lakh voters there would be looking for a clean Bengaluru as well as clean candidates to fight for them. It's definitely going to be an interesting election. And here on Up South in India Today, we are going to be focusing very closely on the battle for Bengaluru all of next week, starting from the 17th till the 22nd. So do tune in to Up South on India Today every evening as we bring to you different aspects of the civic polls in Bengaluru. The national blind Indian football team is practicing in Kochi for an international tournament. And with the kind of support that the coaches are giving them, one must say it's a far-sighted move to get the footballers in the game.
They look like amateur footballers practicing for a local tournament, hitting and missing. But there is a reason for that. They are blind football players who represent the country. Practicing in Kochi, they rely on their instinct and sense of sound to anticipate where the ball is. It is a hit or miss affair, but sometimes they also manage to score a goal. The aim is to win and also prove a point that no challenge is tough enough.
Very few people are there who knows about this kind of sports or event. Even they don't know that special person can do everything whatever the so-called people can do. I have played 6 national football tournaments as well as did athletics in special running and cricket, kabaddi, all the sports. Even I did trekking.
The ball used for blind football is smaller in size compared to a regular football and makes a specific sound as it moves for the player to sense its movement. Each team has 5 players, including a sighted goalkeeper.
Difficultness to coach a team that with a multi-language, the coach is a very tough game, tough job to him, because he had to understand each player's language and then communicate direct to the player.
What keeps them going is the passion for the game.
It's been quite interesting working with the boys. Their passion for the game and they're willing to learn is something that is an inspiration to all of us.
With Revati Rajivan, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's it then on Up South this Thursday evening. News and updates will continue on India Today. Thanks for watching.